Howdy, howdy. It's the Dreadful DM, Jordan, whichever one you want to call me, or the different number of aliases that I have to my name. But today, I kind of have a topic I want to talk about in general. It's not just going to be me yapping and having a mental breakdown over getting a bagel with a good schmear on it. So, yeah, but this, I guess, little entry in the whole Dreadful DM series, or whatever you want to call it, is mostly talking about the fact that making characters is hard. That's when I cut, dude. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be cool. And I want to say this because I was having a conversation with some friends, and then generally just looking at characters I made and looking past and stuff, and how it's kind of hard making characters that are, well, I guess one part unique, but also not just yourself in a different shade of, color, or different, like goblin race, or like being an orc or something. It's kind of difficult to make a character in that facet initially when starting off. If you're playing the game casually or are still new to the game of like Dungeons and Dragons, or I guess TTRPGs in general, whether it be Pathfinder or whatever Critical Role release. I don't remember the name. Daggerheart, I believe it's called. Yeah, Daggerheart. Yeah, but if you're not, already familiarized with the whole TTRPG scene and the way everything is meant to do, and you're not really the most creative person, creating a character can be quite a difficult challenge. And I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit and kind of yap about that to y'all. So if you want to join me for my little yap sesh today, concerning actually a topic this time, it'd be pretty cool. And yeah. First topic I want to talk about is how it's starting off, how it's difficult not just to make a self-insert of yourself, of being like, oh, okay, this seems like a character seems cool, so it's basically just going to be me, but I'm going to be like a cool, assassin rogue or whatever, or, a champion fighter, whatever you want to call it. Just being yourself, but you just roll some dice in between and see how it comes out. And first starting off maybe your first or second character, I think that's perfectly fine, because I don't think anyone's really expecting you to be some savant and some thespian able to contrive some obscure and like very profound character right out your ass. But when it comes to getting past that, it's when you try to branch into more character ideas and more stuff, I realize, even for myself, it's a lot of just like, hey, here's a cool concept. So I make it like, oh yes, some the cool kind of priest character that and try to help people. So but it didn't work out. So now you just help by killing everything that's bad or whatever. The cool like the battle medic type of thing. That kind of priest character, but. You make a character like that, but then you end up just it's mostly yourself, but with some like morals surrounding that and doing stuff like that, which is it's like step in the right direction, but ultimately it's still kind of hard because it's still ultimately you, but just in a different font. You know what I mean? Maybe this character, it's like you without a filter, so you're just more blunt with everything you say. Maybe this character is you, but if you let your crippling magic addiction, take you over, and then that evolves into like an alcoholic addiction. That was one of my characters in one of my past campaigns. It was a raging alcoholic monk. It was pretty fun, but yeah, it's kind of hard to kind of just slowly but surely weighing yourself off from just having a character that's just you but in a different color. It's hard because when we make these characters, it's like based off our ideas, our thoughts, all life experiences, or whatever you want to say, and trying to create something completely unique or cool is very difficult. And if you don't spend a lot of time doing it, and if like D&D for you is a hobby and you're just playing just to have fun with the games and spend time with your friends, ultimately you're not gonna put too much time, effort, or like thought into making this like profound character that completely shakes the foundation of what a character could possibly be. But when you're just doing it with friends, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just this guy Squimpus over here. It's either like a joke character that's so much a joke character that they just say Squimpus the whole time and they run around, or it's basically you. It's kind of hard. Of course, if you get to like more professional and you do it more than often and not just like once a month or once every couple of weeks or something like that, you can make a character that's more divergent from yourself, and it's easier to kind of separate yourself from the character and stuff. And as being a DM, it's kind of hard doing that because it's initially when you're making characters, it's like, oh, this is a character I would like. So maybe I would, I somehow, not somehow, but accidentally implement some of my own things into the character, my own, sayings or ticks or whatever. Like when I say a classic one I always bring up was like earlier. I think in the last couple entries I said it was a jazz singer, this 1940s jazz singer who was supposed to be very sultry and stuff, and then all of a sudden they dropped the word y'all in there. I was like, wait, hold on, what's going on? So it's a little bit difficult to kind of break apart, especially and specifically talking about the DMG and whatever we call it side of things, making each individual character kind of unique in its own little way, not completely something new out of the park that's very distinctive, because I don't have the time to kind of make characters that have a different voice, have a different way of like talking, the way they present themselves every single time. It's a little bit difficult. So, but what was I talking about? I kind of sorry, I got lost in it, but I was just thinking of all the characters I've made in the past. Like, holy shit, there's a lot of them that could be like lumped in the same of like general guy dude area. But yeah, it's kind of hard on the DM side of thing, trying to create a unique character and a unique type of person each time. And yeah, it's strange, it's difficult, but it's fun at the same time on the Game Master, DM, Dungeon Master, what do you want to call it? I've heard so many different ways of calling it. I know DM specifically refers to Dungeons and Dragons, but you know what I mean. It's fun, it's interesting, and it's kind of difficult to do. So I wanted to talk about what kind of characters I try to make initially and how they were basically just me in some way, shape, or form, and how I try to make characters now. So there you go. A little cool transition there for you. So the characters I make are, I kind of mentioned already, there's like the cool priest guy that goes around, exorcising demons. I like that, archetype, that trope a lot. Also like the different types of, like, the cool, everyone fucking likes a cowboy, the cool gunslinger that walks in from, like, the setting sun in the east, right, in the east, that's in the west. It depends on what troll you're saying. Sorry, I'm a little dumb, but yeah, depending on what, of course, like, depending on what media you consume growing up, whether you read books, watched old movies, or played a bunch of games, it depends on what you did growing up and what you saw, what kind of characters you like producing. And in my time, it's always like the cool priest guy or the Western gunslinger guy. Those are the two pretty big archetypes of type of characters, but those are the ones I tend to gravitate to. What that says about me and my life experiences, I don't know, but cool, there's that. So it's fun and interesting, and it's, for a while, that's kind of like the area but all my characters kind of ended up with, kind of just me being myself, kind of being like this Western guy and having those type of, I guess, morals and quandaries and stuff like that, and then when it comes to the priest guy, having those type of morals and thoughts and ideas. So as long as you make characters, it's not just you. It's like, oh, it's me, but like, let me confine myself to like the morals of this, like, what's it called? And cleric. There you go. That's the way. Cleric for D&D. Was within a cleric and what I would do and would say, and kind of confine yourself there. And then with a cowboy, well, I might be a little more loose, and I'd be a little more morally dubious and willing to do something that's a little more evil in terms of things, and slowly but surely kind of weighing yourself off. And I think that's kind of how it's mostly the natural progression of things, the way things go in terms of making characters. You start with just yourself, but slowly and surely you kind of maybe box yourself and limit yourself to these type of sets of morals or ideas or different types of things, and slowly and surely you kind of build this own character that's uniquely distinct from yourself, but ultimately still has your fingerprints in it, because it's still you. Because when playing games, when playing a game and having this character, and when something happens, your character might realistically do something else, but a lot of times the person, whether through knowing knowledge that your character might not know, or just through their own set of beliefs or whatever might happen, might make a decision that doesn't really fall in line, but ultimately it kind of does, because it's just you essentially. So it's a bit weird and it's a bit interesting. And that's how it happens a lot for me, and especially for my NPCs. Initially, a lot of my NPCs were, it was just me talking and just putting in different types of emphasis on different things, or maybe it was a little more douchey depending if it was an evil guy. Initially, it was kind of that kind of area, but slowly and surely through especially in this campaign, I think it's allowing myself to grow and do a lot more stuff, and might be a little more extravagant, a little more, I guess, out there, not just having different shades of the same person, but it's like this guy is evil and this guy over here is good, and basically the same voice. It was mostly indicative of the very last session I had, because I've had this character Nephris. I remember his name, so I know it's very fun, very exciting. I remember my own characters that I make and have written so much about. Golly, if this campaign never ends that I'm currently running, like in anytime soon, I'm gonna cry because I've written so much for it. But but yeah, when it comes to those type of characters, it's I mean, when it comes to this type of character, Nephris, it's interesting and it's fun because, I mean, who's like, you know, always going back to the alcoholic for some reason. What that says about me and my childhood, I don't know. But yeah, it's like this guy who focused on booze. There's a whole lore reason we haven't gotten into for it yet, but it's, I guess, hey, that's a small little thing for my players. There you go. There's a small thing with dealing with that, but we'll get to that eventually, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, this whole character who has a certain sort of way, almost like a Jack Sparrow type of, like, constantly always drunk type of thing going on. And yeah, constantly using booze to kind of get through life and such. And you know, he's dealing with this. He's trying to be a professional cop at the same time. He's always drinking, like, he always a little flowy, a little more slurred in his speech pattern, a little bit possibly because he's always kind of a little bit inebriated, depending on what time of the day it is. Might be a little more, might be a little less. But then there was an instance in this last session where I kind of changed the character, where he talked very straight and very flat and was like, oh yeah, we got this, don't worry, you know. I was like, don't worry, friend, we got this, and we'll figure something out. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was a little bit off character and it didn't really make sense, but no one really said anything because we were coming off a break, so like, oh, maybe he's trying to get back into it. And then I previously changed one of my past retcon how one of the previous characters sound like. It was a cat that my fiance found, and it had this very uppity type of evil thing going on. It was very similar to a horse called Reginald that my fiance casted, you know, Speak with Animals with, and it was very like, oh, very haughty, very gaudy, and, you know, doing that whole type of thing, you know, the better than thee type of voice. And it was pretty much the same thing as that, you know, animal, so I wanted to change it up, so I did close my nose and I was like, wow, here we are. And, you know, I don't know, man, I'm just kind of living here. Honestly, I'm just glad I'm not on the living in the puddle anymore. You know, doing that, maybe trying to switch it up just a little bit, and everyone kind of laughed, and it was like, okay, that's kind of funny. But, you know, they're like, that's not the voice. I was like, yeah, try something different, try to differentiate some more between the characters and stuff. And the same thing, and then later on, the character Nephris started talking normally, like he hadn't been drinking, or like I didn't know what, I forgot his voice or something, and no one brought it up. I think people noticed, but I was like, oh, he just fucking forgot or something. But then later on, it turned out that Nephris had been captured, and the person he would have been talking to was not Nephris, so it would have made sense. So it was like, oh. So yeah, so I'm trying to like uniquely make characters that when changes like that do happen, it's like, wait, that's interesting, and that can only occur when you put the time and effort to make the NPC, the character, whatever you want to say, have these distinctive traits and qualities that are not just yourself, you know? And that's what I'm trying to do to make a better game. Early on, I said I really don't do voices, and I still really don't because I'm not the best. I don't have like the highest range of like pitches or different ways to go. I guess that's not the only thing with voice acting or voice playing a character, but it's kind of hard to try to get an idea because I am not that creative. I was never a theater kid, so that's not really my bag. That's not in my Duffy currently, as one might say, but it's something I'm trying to work on, and maybe a little more, something like that, maybe even doing little things like that to kind of change the voice, or maybe like the tones. I said a lot to help play a role, like in the mannerisms, I think I also play a role, hopefully. I think that was mostly with Nephris. So doing stuff like that, and that's how I'm trying to change characters. I'm trying to like kind of move it around and try to make more distinct and not just be myself talking, essentially, because that can only go so far. I can only do stuff to explain and have the characters in the setting, but if they all sound like me, it kind of loses kind of, you know, it's kind of flair. It's kind of, you know, little pizzazz that it brings along with it. And I'm trying to, you know, bring that, because if I'm going to spend time making this whole campaign, I might as well get some unique characters going. And yeah, and there were some new characters I introduced that were a lot more monotone, a lot more very flat and everything, and I think that had a very distinct, and a new saying from the cult I added in was pretty cool. It's very obvious if you where it's from, if you played the games in particular that I would yoinked it from, but it's there. So fun times. But yeah, I think a lot of the characters I carry nowadays are a lot more goofy and fantastical. Like there's a guy Rashner who is this, I guess it's a magic user, is a caster, but he's very much a little bit on the loony side of things, a little more crazy, a little more like what's his name from Gravity Falls? That crazy guy that who was very smart but then blasts himself to forget everything, and now he just slaps his knees or whatever. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like I know Assassin's watches this right fucking now, and he's yelling at me because he's a bastard. So there's that. But yeah, I'm probably doing. That's probably mostly what I talk about in terms of my characters and stuff. I have a small little list here that I want to talk about. I kind of tried to make this video once before, but yeah, so. Hi, sorry, a little transition there for you. But yeah, just some of my wrapping up my final thoughts and ideas and kind of what I try to do for making characters and all that kind of stuff. Wrapping up all those little thoughts in nice little bows. Since I think there's going to be a shorter type of entry. I don't think it's going to be a 20-minute thing because I'm not just yapping about useless stuff. I kind of have a idea and point I want to talk about. I want to see how this video kind of turns out and what my friends say and what y'all say. I guess my friends, but yeah, what y'all say, whatever y'all think. I'm not sure if y'all just like the yap sessions and me going insane by opening a bagel and a schmear, or if you like the kind of more, I guess, pointed video ideas that kind of have my general thoughts, not my general, but more, I guess, direct thoughts on something and more my opinions on it and how I'm trying to fix it. And yeah, I didn't even talk about how some of my friends make characters, and well, I kind of did. It was mostly just like new players, how it's mostly kind of you, maybe with a different type of thing with it, and that's it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard making characters. So I think a lot of my characters, not characters, a lot of my players, to the Alex and my fiance, it's mostly just them, but it's just a different type of thing going on with them, so it's a little unique. So it's not just them as a person, but they can swing a sword now, so that's cool. But so yeah, it's difficult, it's fun, and I think it's gonna things slowly but surely as we move along. I think they have more character ideas and already brewing up, so if they explode in an unfortunate accident, it'll be a good time. But yeah, so tell me how this video turned out. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, so yeah, tell me how this come out. I'm kind of interested to see y'all's opinion on it. I don't think this will be too heavily edited, but yeah, I mean, that's gonna be pretty cool. I think it'll be pretty fun, and I hope y'all doing okay. Please go take a walk. Well, you don't have to take a walk, but go take a walk, man. It's like good for you emotionally, mentally, physically. It's all just going around. But I hope you're doing okay, and I hope to talk to y'all later. See ya.